This is your radio, Cayman.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling DWAYNE Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much. It is indeed a fantastic Friday. We're going to have a chance to talk to you about the United World College and understand why it's so significant, so important, and why we have to be such stalwart champions for students and education. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow,
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling DWAYNE Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And as we look at education, both from the academic pursuit, but what it does for students and in particular our society, for them to have the opportunity to travel overseas and to be a part of United World College in particular, I believe it is an invaluable experience. And joining us in the studio, it was another opportunity for us to be reminded of the upcoming next cohort going to be selected, but also the experiences and why. Now, I was flipping a coin in my head. I was deciding, should I go with the wise, experienced heads, or should I go with the young, enthusiastic? And I thought, but they're all in one and the same in the form of Mr. Lindbergh Martin. So we got youth and enthusiasm. We got wisdom. Mr. Martin, always a pleasure to be in your company. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
All right.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, it is an honor. And I share this, hopefully, properly and appropriately. When I get a chance to talk about education, it thrills me, it excites me. The fact that it's not just about knowledge and being able to sit and show your aptitude because you passed the test. It's about being able to have a conversation, to talk about the experiences. And I think about our seafarers in particular, the fact that they've traveled the world and they've seen so much. Some of them, did exams to show that they were chief engineers and the captains and the like. But man, the stories that they would regale, even after a little bit of gin and coconut water, even better, right? But that's for another time, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, as we go around the table shortly to talk about United World College, Mr. Martin, if I could maybe ask of you and then Ms. Alfina, and then as we go around, each person just share a little bit about themselves, why we're here, and I promise you, I should make a promise. I'll endeavor to be, somewhat a little bit more tentative in my approach. Maybe not. No.
Shall I start?
Yes, sir. Yes,
all right,
sir.
Great. I'm Lindbergh Martin. I come from Cayman Brac, and at the age of 15, going 16, I was awarded the scholarship to go to Atlantic College, and that was 1984. I attended from 1984 to 86, and to this day, it's still probably one of the best things I've ever done in terms of experiences.
I'll ask you now, and only if you are willing to, sometime down the road in the conversation, to ask you about your recollection of that thought process as to the interview, whether you would do it again and why you chose it and so on. Now, I have put my cards on the table when I think of my friends on the BRAC. As much as I think Caymanians have a great resolve and resilience, there's even this greater resolve and resilience within the Brackers, that sense of spirit and adventure, that intellect. There's something different about them, but different in a great way. My view.
Thank you very much. That's a great compliment.
Okay. Reminds me of West Wales.
Yeah, there you go. I think there are some similarities, I think.
You see? I only gave him $2. You imagine what would happen. Now, Mr. Alfino, if you are, perhaps your perspective, and as we get into a discussion, your involvement, your view, parent and otherwise,
Okay, well, my name is Elfina Jones. I'm a civil servant. I work for GIS, Government Information Services. Marketing and PR. And my eldest child, Ayanda, who's 18 and is currently in Spain, somewhere in Spain. Hi, Ayanda. She went to UWC Red Cross Nordic in Norway, 2016 to 2018. Had a fabulous 2 years there. Grew up a lot. She actually left to go there 10 days before she hit 16, and didn't bat an eyelid, and never looked back really. Yeah. She loved it.
And that's something I probably see a theme that I may get to in a minute. Something about that. It's not just resolve. That thing that we see in those children who gravitate towards that. But perhaps before we skip the next student parent and allow the, Mr. Zachary, let's start with you first. Let's just go across the table. Give some of us a chance to. We would remind the others in the room that we are live on YouTube. We won't do that.
Yeah, so my name is Zachary Jones. Like Mr. Lindbergh, I am from the BRAC as well. And I got the opportunity to go to UWC USA. Haley here next to me also went to UWC USA. We went at the same time. And so I had the awesome opportunity to go to that school for 2 years. It was a really crazy experience. Got to meet students from around the world. The education was so important and so helpful in moving beyond just UWC and going on to school like Penn State. And I'm fortunate enough to now be on the committee and helping to promote the program across the schools. I've been going to school, telling students about the program, and I'm excited to see what students apply for the program and to help in that selection process this year.
All right. I want to get to that because I think it's important, and it's in many respects. Miss Haley?
Yes, hello.
I like how the two of you just share that instead of... I'm not going to go there. Maybe I will.
Yes, Haley Robinson. I went to UWC from 2010 to 2012, New Mexico, as Zachary said. And it was honestly the best 2 years of my life. I have made lifelong friendships. The academics definitely propelled me forward. I did my undergrad at McGill University, and then I'm pursuing law now. I'm working at Maples and Calder, and I definitely think the critical thinking and personal challenge, those skills that were developed at UWC definitely propelled me forward in my academic and now professional career.
And there's something that I'm going to ask, hopefully not inappropriate, but as parents, and especially parents who were former students to an extent, as a student, you most likely embrace in the world. You just can't wait to spread your wings and taste, what waters are like elsewhere. As a parent, you have this excitement because you prepared your child for this thing. It's what you've been saving for, what you've been sacrificing. But that day that comes, you go, that's my baby. No? Unless you're like myself, feeling like, fly, birdie, fly. Give me my freedom back. Now, we come to you. See the rose amongst the
thorns. Thank you.
I don't know.
Hi, I'm Nicole Hyde. I'm a compliance officer at MUFG Alternative and Services Cayman. And I am the parent for Elijah Sampson, who is currently at UWC Li Pu Chan, Hong Kong. He was a 2017 recipient, and he is having a phenomenal experience. I had tons of reservations. He is my first child. He is my baby. It's a far way, but I encouraged him. So it's very ironic. Although I encouraged him and although I knew he was going to be the recipient, I was not ready for yes. So it's been challenging, exciting, and it's brought me closer to my knees for asking for guidance, protection, and just for me to step back because I'm hands-on and I'm overbearing. But it's great.
And thank you for sharing. I really would like you, if you're comfortable, that's kind of what I was asking, share so that the parents in particular get to that point. And hopefully the students don't mind, but I sort of living vicariously through you. Even though I don't know some of you, I know of your parents or your older siblings in some cases, or your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, and every single if this is wrong, you chastise me now. But every single child in this country who is leaving Cayman to go to university, I worry about. I want the best for them. It may sound weird, but I just want to know that they're safe and that they're going to be successful in every which way. So for me, it's a chance for them to excel. And Ms. Nicole, looking at Elijah, I won't say which one of his aunts in particular that I kind of got little tidbits and little tabs on to know. He's embracing experience, but I also know from you, like I think it would be for all of us, if our children are overseas or if they have to sleep over, you worry about them. That's understandable. You know they're going to be okay. But man, are they in East End and you live in West Bay, or are they in Hong Kong and, you're not in Hong Kong with them? What do you feel like?
Every day it's... I'm nervous every day. I'm getting more comfortable as his time is drawing nearer to returning home. But just to go again, actually. But it's about trusting him and what I've taught him. Like I worried, who's going to feed him when he's sick? Who's going to wash his clothes? Who's going to cook the food that he likes? And actually, these are things that he has been taught at home. How do you separate your clothes? How do you wash your clothes? How do you make your bed? How do you cook rice? How do you cook a meal that you really enjoy from home? And these are skills that he has. So I think that from we receive children, if we kind of instill skills that will help them, because the way the world is evolving, and Cayman in itself, I think we have maybe 135 different nationalities. And I think that one of the bigger issues is how do we live and make laws and peace with the different nationalities whilst just having an experience living in your own house. But when you get the opportunity to go to a UWC college, you don't have a choice. You have to live. LEPU has 256 students with over 80 nationalities. And you're placed with different nationalities. You have to live. You have to love. You have to empathize. I'm sure that you share so many experiences and you become dependent on one another. And in that, I think you learn about each other's country. You gain, I think, a civic pride for your own country. And you also you're given the experience to love someone else's country. I think this makes for better people. Cayman being so small, it will allow for him, and I'm hoping that he'll be one of those individuals that will make policies, that will sit in the Legislative Assembly and make it a better Cayman, as for Caymanians defined by the immigration law, and that definition is wide. So I think that this is a phenomenal experience. As much as each day it's challenging, the time difference, speaking to him. When he's sick, I just want to reach out. I want to say, don't eat this, don't do that. But it's been great. It's brought families closer, aunties closer. His dad is great and saying, calm down. Yeah. He's a big boy. Have faith in what we did. And that goes a long way.
All right. I'll pick up on that. We'll take this break and ask if it's possible. Maybe the next break goes up until once we have more time. But when we come back, as we talk about the recruitment process and all the things our students can share with us, Mr. Martin, you can give us another insight. And the parents in particular who are listening, as we, I can say we, going to be guiding our children into their next phases of life, whether it's college or whether it's sixth form, whether it's considering applying for UWC, that this is what you, and this is why you, and so on, because it's important. Would that be okay, Miss Elfino? She said yes, no problem. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Eats Cafe, Legends Classic Grill, and Yoshi Sushi, located in the Cayman Falls Center on the West Bay Road, offering you Cayman's best choice for a great dining experience. Whatever your taste choice might be, a hearty breakfast, a delicious healthy lunch, a scrumptious evening dinner, or a light taste-tested in-between snack, it's all there at Eats Cafe, Legends Classic Grill, and Yoshi Sushi, all at exceptionally pocketbook-friendly prices in comfortable, happy surroundings. For the sports fan, NBA, NHL, Premier League, and the NFL playoffs are here. There's the multi-big screen televisions to watch your favorite team win. Eats Cafe, Legends Classic Grill, and Yoshi Sushi, Cayman's family-friendly dining favorite location.
Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square and Grand Harbor has the largest and the best collection of Hallmark and Shoebox Valentine's Day cards. Poetic cards, serious cards, seriously funny cards, fabulous cards, and the perfect card for your Valentine. Healthcare Pharmacy also has Hallmark gift boxes, brand name perfume and cologne sets, home spa kits, and quotable quotes for your Valentine. So this year, make it a perfect Valentine's Day with Healthcare Pharmacy, Grand Harbor, and Governor Square.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE Ebanks.
No. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we focus on education, and in particular United World College, it truly is an honor to be able to have people like Mr. Lindbergh Martin in our studio, together with Ms. Nicole, and then two of, perhaps the more recent students compared to people like Miss Dana at that time, Wells, Mr. Lindbergh, Haley and Zachary. As we go through the process and talking to prospective students and parents, Zach, from your perspective, why apply? How do we apply? And of course, when do we apply? And then what is involved? I mean, all the whys and wherefores.
Sure. So if you are age 16 or 17 in Cayman and you're looking for an opportunity to further education, UWC is a great opportunity for you. Why apply? Why not apply is really the question. It's a really great opportunity to travel if you haven't traveled before. Like we said, the education program is really stellar. As someone who's gone through the process and used the IB to go to universities, I know firsthand that a lot of universities really perk up at the idea of a student completing the IB program.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only is it a great opportunity to travel, do a great academic program, but really it's an opportunity to meet students from around the world, live. It's an opportunity to build your values, your goals, together with all of the other students that are there. And you really leave there feeling fulfilled and like you've fulfilled the mission, which is to promote peace across the world. So if you are one of those students, 16 or 17, by the September 1st of this year, we encourage you to apply. UWC has been to many of the schools that these students are at, but for any parents there that are interested, if you would like a copy of the application, we can send it to you. Our email is uwccaymanislands@gmail.com. We also have our website, which is www.ky.uwc.org. The application is on the website, and it is pretty detailed. They'll give you all the information that you need to know in order to apply. The application deadline is February 18 by 5 p.m. We want to make sure everyone gets it in by that time. And from there, the committee will take it on. We'll review the applications. If you're shortlisted, we'll invite you for an interview. If you're shortlisted after the interview, we will invite you for the group stage, which is the final process. And after that, hopefully we'll have our 2019 scholars.
Can I just add a few points? To all those students contemplating applying, UWC is a fantastic academic opportunity. The top universities, the Ivy League, the Oxford and Cambridge, and the top schools recruit from there. So you will be in a good position when it comes to university applications. But On the extracurricular side, if you're into sports, into music, the facilities are fantastic as well. And depending on the particular sport, we can, try to align you to a school that may cater to that school.
Now, I guess today we're probably more familiar with it. Hopefully, all of us, if not, most of us, at least have heard of United World College, have some connection, association of students or families who have attended in some capacity. There may be some who are not sure. But Mr. Martin, from that perspective, with the schools that are there and for the student who is successful, the students, maybe two initial questions. This year, are we offering one scholarship or 10?
I think we try to offer 3, 2 to 3. The approach is sort of bottoms up, where we start by looking at the students, and it's merit based. So if we can find really highly qualified students that get through the selection process, we try our best to find the funding to send those abroad. So that may, usually I think we're at least 2,
right.
And we hopefully we'll do 3.
And this is where I'm hoping that if it's not improper, any entity or individual there who is looking at investing in education, be supportive across the board. But if UWC can be the recipient of some funding, the students and the country directly will benefit, because this is phenomenal. I didn't go to the program, but I tell you what I've seen through it is, as Ms. Nicole shared. The other question I want to ask of you, Mr. Martin, from that perspective, we know there are colleges. Zachary and Haley will give us a little, more insight of some of the different schools across. We had reference to the one in, the U.S. and then the one in, how do you say, Ms. Nicole, Lipu?
Lipu Chan.
Lipu Chan. And the one in Norway. But the child, the selected, puts forward, I would like to maybe this one. These are my choices. The eventual selection may not be the first choice. Speak a little bit about that. How did that work and so on? Okay, we got
that.
Okay,
I'll pass that one over.
I was going to say, from a personal perspective, I remember when I was listing my preferences, USA was on the bottom of my list. I was thinking there's so many amazing, exotic places to go to: Swaziland, Norway, Italy. And then I got USA, and I was like, it's not very exciting. But I have to say the Scholarship Committee does a wonderful job of sending students where they know the resources, the interests, the different opportunities available at each school are a bit unique. And so I think in that sense the scholarship does a great opportunity, the committee here on island, of selecting and sending students to the schools where they think they'll thrive and do the best.
Ms. Alfino?
Yeah, funny little story about Ayanda ending up in Norway was that we used to live on a complex, and there were lots of other mothers watching their children play of an evening, and I said, gosh, it's a mini United Nations amongst us. Why don't we get the kids once a month, say, just to sort of give a teeny little presentation, 2 minutes, about a country, just show us where the flag is, be able to point to it on the map and tell us what its chief import and export. Sorry, this is a former econ student speaking here. I enjoy that kind of thing.
We like this.
And so we ended up in the clubhouse. The kids had picked their country to do a little bit of research on, and I've got a picture to this which has Ayanda at about 7 years old, with a picture of Norway, a map of Norway behind her, and she's speaking about Norway, and then a couple of years later, she ends up in Norway, so it kind of gives me chills.
That's beautiful.
And if I can, just to go back to the funding part, I just want to take an opportunity to thank the organizations that do fund us currently. The Maples Foundation, the All Foundation, Greenlight RE, and OGR have been really great sponsors for us and have sent a lot of the UWC students off to their respective schools. So we are really appreciative of their funding, and because of their funding, we're able to send 2 or 3 students every year.
Very important. I was Haley from that perspective. You're chatting about the process and the experience, and I think people need to get the appreciation that this is, college in a sense. This is an independence of the students, the maturity and the like. But then there's a lot. Only from your perspective, as you recall being back there where you are now, being off to University of McGill, and now law. How's that transition? What was that like, those early days to where you are now? The similarities, the major differences, the maturity, the growth, the life experiences, the friendships.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah. But only because,
Yes, so I could say, from an applicant standpoint, I was very nervous applying. I had good grades, but I was just worried, it's a scholarship opportunity. I thought I had to be the top of my class. And one thing I really appreciate about the United World College is the holistic approach to the students. It's not just your academics, which is obviously it's very important, but it's your passions outside of just the academics, and it's your interest in the community, community service, environmentalism, sustainability, music, arts. These are all things that the United World College encourages students to be a part of. And so with that opportunity going into UWC, I was able to explore some of my academic passions, such as I did social and cultural anthropology, and that's actually what I minored in my undergrad. I did international development. And again, I think even international development, it's an area that I was exposed to while at the United World College. And so I think just learning from my peers, hearing about their countries and being able to put a personal face to a name when you're watching the news or when you're hearing about things going on around the world, to be able to have personal connections really does make things feel a lot more personal. And some of the friendships I made at UWC, I've continued on to this day. I'm actually going to a wedding in Uganda for one of my close friends from UWC. So while at McGill, I was involved in service groups with other United World College students from all around the world. And I think even, as I said, I mentioned earlier, I'm currently in law. And I think that field is an area that involves a lot of critical thinking and analysis, and these are skills I learned at UWC, being able to debate different topics with my peers, and also just being compassionate. I think is another thing, is being able to empathize with other people and other people's struggles is something that you naturally get at UWC, living with people from all over the world and eating with them and sleeping with them and doing all these things every day.
And as Mr. Martin was sharing relative to the academic component, parents and prospective students both looking at, getting into top schools and careers. From that perspective, though, Mr. Jones, did you find that as you were applying to universities, two questions. One, did you have sort of your pick of, you've accepted me, let me just decide. And then secondly, did it help you to narrow down like where you wanted to go, what perhaps areas you may have wanted to study as a result of your experience at UWC?
Sure. So studying at UWC definitely gives you a range of subjects, and we can go into detail with that at a later date. But there's a range of subjects that you take at UWC that you may not normally get here. I, for one, did not do history while at high school. I'm sorry to say, but that was definitely an option at UWC that I was able to take. And so the program is very rigorous. And like I said, a lot of universities really look highly on it because it's so advanced. As part of the curriculum, you take 3 subjects at a higher advanced level and 3 at a standard level. And so you can kind of shape your subjects based on what your interests are ahead of time. So if you know that you're someone who wants to get into a medical field, you can take the subjects necessary, such as biology or chemistry, at a higher level, which will help you to get into college.
All right, I want to talk about that notion of the academics and the experience, and hopefully, if I prepared adequately, I'll be able to refer to it too much. If not, Mr. Martin will make sure I get it correct. The 6 subjects, 3 high, 3 low, 2 years and the like, and then the service component that is there, then the language component. Then this part, what's it called? Theory of knowledge?
Okay, yes.
But thank, man, you see the compliments you get when you give people dollar bills? No, but honestly, it's exciting because our children get a chance to move beyond their comfort zone and to understand that they're made it a lot, tougher stuff than they understand, they appreciate. And Ms. Nicole will tell us that parents equally, right? But let's talk about the service component and the element. Promise, Ms. Haley, start with yours, because I heard that was interesting.
I was interested in community service. While I was on island, I was involved in Key Club, volunteering at the Humane Society, the Pines, different organizations. And as you mentioned, UWC does encourage that, while at the different campuses. So I was involved in mentoring young girls in the Montezuma community. There's also a wilderness program where you go into schools and encourage other students to get involved in wilderness activities. There's Soup Kitchen, which I was also involved in, and there's just a range of community service opportunities. And it's not just an IB requirement. It's something that people are definitely passionate about, and that helps make the service enjoyable not just for the people that are giving, but also receiving in the community. And I think UWC has a great relationship with the different communities they are a part of. They're really integrated and care about the communities that they're working with, and that makes the experience really enjoyable.
And it comes into who we are later on as we give back to our communities. The language part. How did you find that at that level?
Very challenging. Most schools here on island, you have to do some sort of language. So I remember learning Spanish and French in school, but then going to UWC and I thought, I speak a little bit of French. Like, I can do this. Academically, it was challenging, but also when you leave the classroom, in the cafeteria, languages, everyone is speaking different languages. Most of my friends spoke 3-4 languages, and I only spoke English, so it was pretty challenging. But in that sense, it's a great opportunity to learn a language because, as I said, it's not just a classroom-based, you learn for an hour or two a day, and that's it. You have an opportunity to practice in the dorm room when you're hanging out with your friends, in the cafeteria. So it's a great opportunity to learn a language.
See, Mr. Martin, that's why I thought that if we went, it would have been good because we would have been trilingual. We would have spoken, English, Caymanian, and then back.
There you go. Can I just add something? For anyone listening, students who attend government schools, I really want to make a special appeal to you guys to really apply. This is not a scholarship for the elite. This is a scholarship for everybody, right?
Yes.
And speaking in my own case, I'd only ever been to government school, and government schools are representative of the real world, right?
Yep.
It's where everybody goes, and we really want you to apply.
Right. Can I ask, and I sort of want us, mindful of the time, I'm genuinely so inspired by all of you, but in particular, our younger students. 1,000 years ago, Mr. Martin, when you were playing, it came out was a different time, right?
It was, yeah.
And the technology that we spoke of earlier that exists now didn't then. The ability to communicate with families. Yeah. What was it like, if I may ask, of you, coming from the BRAC, seeing this opportunity? I think I have an insight, but... Yeah,
well, let me share something with you. Yeah. Before I got the scholarship, we didn't have a telephone in our house. But because I was going away, my father said, you know what, I hate telephones, I don't want to be disturbed by them, but because you're going away, I'm going to get a phone put in our house. So that was something. And then... every Sunday, I think it was, I would queue up at the red telephone booth and make a collect call to my parents, to my grandparents, and I really look forward to that. I have to say too, the food over there wasn't very good then. I was in this college in Wales, and I have to say British cuisine has really come along since. But to get by, I remember I'd have to put ketchup on everything because ketchup was the one thing that tasted the same. And then my mother, she would mail me these fruitcakes because they last a long time, and I would eat fruitcakes for quite a bit.
And I appreciate you sharing that because this is how things have changed so much, and the appreciation. And I think if I could come back to respectful to our parents, just come back to our students. You love Cayman, you're involved, you're actively engaged. This is home. This is where you want to contribute. Yes, you want to travel the globe and change the world, conquer the world. But you become, I would imagine, more appreciative of who you are, your family. Yeah. Cayman. Is that a fair one?
Yeah, absolutely. We loved being there at school. I think I speak for Haley and I. We loved being at school, but we also loved when it was time to go back home for break. And it was a really great opportunity to see the friends that were there, see family. But it was also a great chance to kind of stock up on things. So I know when I went, it was a great opportunity to stock up on your favorite foods. I also went to to the extent of getting Cayman information on Cayman so that I could share with my friends when I was there. It's great to have a rum cake in the day room and be able to share that with people from Australia or Norway who have never had it before. So it's a really great opportunity. Coming home was always great. Of course, the sun. You can't beat that, especially for places where it's winter and cold. So it was always great to come home, and you always appreciate what you had better than you did before.
I recognize the time, but I want to ask two things quickly about the theory of knowledge, so that as prospective students are looking at it, and if it's not, go online, you'll find it. Look, it's there, but there is, I think, a need to emphasize that. Yes, there's a strong academic component, but you don't need to be as smart as Mr. Martin. Yeah. You can get by being almost as smart as me. How does that fit in? What is that, and how does that tie in? Over the 2 years. Who wants to go first, Mr. Jones?
So, theory of knowledge is interesting. It's one of the more challenging aspects of the program. But I think it fits in perfectly with the broader mission of UWC, which is to make peace, use education as a force for peace. And so theory of knowledge is really just a way of getting you to think beyond where you're at now. I'll mention when I applied to universities, one of the things that I talked about is the fact that Cayman is a bubble, and that bubble was kind of popped when I went to UWC because you got the opportunity to meet so many people from different places in the world, but you were also introduced to so many different ways of thinking. And so that is really what theory of knowledge gets at, is trying to get you to think beyond what you are accustomed to and what you know now, and to think more broadly in that sense.
Ms. Haley?
I was just going to quickly add, and also not just appreciating different ways of thinking, but it's really a celebration of difference. And I think that's something that's important as well.
Yeah. And to one of our listeners who is, former grad of the UK English system, and like, I said, British cuisine is no curry, Mr. Martin. So make sure. And as we look at this whole thing, perhaps remind our parents, deadline, Mr. Jones?
Absolutely. Deadline is February 18th, 5 p.m. The application is available online, ky.uwc.org, or you can email us, uwccaymanislands@gmail.com, and we'll send that to you. And we really encourage you guys to start if you haven't already. You have to get references. We need to collect all of your grades, and that part forms your application. So if you are really interested, or if you're a parent who has a kid that you think is a great fit, we encourage you to start getting those materials in so we can hit the deadline on time.
And we also have a Facebook page, which is a good opportunity to see pictures, videos of our current students, how they're enjoying the experience, to get more information. So that's another way you can learn more about UWC.
Could we give them a teaser? And if not, then again, go uwc.org. Some of the schools that potentially, we know we're in Italy, we're in Norway,
there are many schools. It's grown to 17. So if you're interested in any of them, we obviously encourage you to put that in your application, where you're interested in USA, Costa Rica, Canada, Germany, the Netherlands, Italy. Really, honestly, there's one in Armenia now, one of the newer schools. There are a lot of newer schools coming up. So there's Japan.
India.
So if you're interested in any of those, we encourage you to look online. There's a lot of information on each particular school that is there that you can use to form your decision. But again, it does come down to where we have positions open and the selection committee thinks would be a good fit for you at the end.
All right. As we close our discussion, perhaps maybe start with you, Mr. Martin, and then conclude with you guys. Anything specifically we want to emphasize, make sure that prospective parents and students, know, are reminded of?
Well, we've been going since 1984. We've sent 74 Caymanian students over that time. Some of the notable ones, at the risk of embarrassing them, would be the Honourable Tara Rivers, Lizette Yarwood at the HSA, Samuel Rose. I think I was in the interview committee that selected Samuel and his brother as well. Fabulous students. I mean, Caymanians are really pursuing education in a big way, and we are, as a country, UWC is playing an important role in educating Caymanians in the broadest possible sense.
Mm-hmm. Only if Ms. Jones and Ms. Nicole, if you guys want to share anything, please, don't wish to impose on you more.
I think it's important, really, that if you're interested in, either as a student or as a parent of a student pursuing the UWC, to read up about it, to discuss it with your child, because it's not for every child. Having said that, as we've all acknowledged, it has a very strong academic requirement, and it's very taxing. Even the most academic of children will find they are stretched, and that's a very good thing. Mm-hmm. They've all grown immeasurably by that, but they've got to know that is a very strong focal point. It's not a kumbaya, even though that it's all about making a better world society, especially after World War II. This was one of the reasons why
Cold War. Yeah.
That's right. That's why UWCs were set up. So it's got that mission, as our recent graduates have said. I think it needs a child that is willing to push the boundaries, to be independent, and parents that are willing to allow their children to do that. And if those two things align and they're very clear about what it is that they want from life and from UWC and how that can help them in that, then it's just a phenomenal experience. And it actually, I think, helps prepare them when it comes to university. When it comes to university, they've done that in terms of having lived independently, having juggled their finances, having dealt with other children.
Right.
From,
it's the growth that they need, right?
Exactly.
Definitely. And certainly,
And the last thing I just want to say is that we want to stress again, like Mr. Lindbergh said, that it is not for an elite scholarship. It's really for anyone. It's merit-based, and so if you think that you're a great fit, we want to encourage you to apply regardless of your financial means. We will work that out with you in the end.
And for what it's worth, man, whether phone call or in person, between now and the deadline, if you wish, certainly after the selection process, come back on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Continue to change the world, man.
Yeah.
Follow Mr. Martin's example.
Thank you.
Hey, to our listeners, UWC.org, certainly look at the Facebook page for the Cayman Islands chapter. When we come back, we'll talk today.
Thank you.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
A group of concerned Cuban citizens and people with Cuban ties residing in Cayman are asking for the public to make donations to help with ongoing relief efforts in Havana, Cuba. On Sunday, an EF4 tornado tore through Havana, uprooting trees, tearing down power lines, and plunging some 200,000 homes into darkness. The twister tore roofs off hundreds of homes, leaving hundreds homeless. At least 4 lives were claimed during the 16-minute tornado, and hundreds were injured. A garage sale is being put together for Saturday, February 9th. In lieu of cash, people can donate goods that can be sold in the garage sale. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. At least 21 people have died in one of the worst cold snaps to hit the U.S. Midwest in decades. 90 million people, a third of the U.S., have seen temperatures of 17 degrees Celsius or below. Some 250 million Americans overall have experienced the polar vortex conditions. Hospitals have been treating patients reporting frostbite as parts of the country ground to halt. Temperatures are expected to swing to above average over the weekend. A video showing a heavily pregnant woman being manhandled by guards on the Stockholm metro has prompted an angry response in Sweden. The woman, who was with her young daughter, was caught without a ticket, officials said. After an argument with security guards, she was dragged off the train and held down on a bench. The woman was then rushed to hospital for treatment, and 2 guards have been suspended pending an inquiry. And Australia recorded its hottest month ever in January, with average temperatures exceeding 30 degrees Celsius for the first time. According to the Bureau of Meteorology, the extreme heat was unprecedented during the country's summer period. At least 5 January days were among the 10 warmest on record, with daily national temperature highs of 40 Celsius. The heat has caused wildfire deaths, bushfires, and a rise in hospital admissions. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
CUC advises customers on Watercourse Road in West Bay that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Wednesday, February 6th between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Watercourse Road between the junction of Hell Road and the junction of Boatswain Bay Road, including Nettie Rivers Lane, Bowman Close, Hillendale Close, Cadbury Link, Windstart Drive, Bristol Close, Fruitland Way, Ruby Lane, Alexandra Close, and Knowles Close. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing Watercourse Road, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in the area and will be required to temporarily block one lane on several sections of Watercourse Road. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to facilitate required overhead infrastructure upgrades to provide customers with safe, reliable, and efficient power. In summary, Watercourse Road and surrounding areas will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Wednesday, February 6th between 9:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Super Senior Team in association with Mango Tree and Appleton presents the annual Valentine's Concert, Friday, February 8th, featuring live on stage, Mikey Spice and Friends, New Anna, Andrew Rivera, James Gary, and Andy Blake. Tickets $20 pre-sold, $25 at the gate. Get your tickets at Funky Tangs, Mango Tree, Super C Restaurant. All brought to you by Flow, Hot 104.1, Appleton, Radio Cayman. Also, Valentine's Musical Showdown with Cobra, DJ Shit Vicious, Slaughter Rich, Fire Ras, and Rolex. Friday, February 8th at the Mango Tree, Mikey Spice and Friends.
All are invited to attend the 82nd Annual Convention of the Church of God, Full Gospel Hall, Georgetown, from February 3rd through to the 10th. Daily prayer meetings at 6:30 a.m., preaching and praise at 10:30 a.m., and evangelistic services nightly at 7:15. Sundays begin with Sunday school at 9:45 a.m., followed by morning worship at 10:45, a youth service at 3 p.m., and evangelistic services at 7:15. Come and enjoy a warm Christian fellowship, praying, praising, and singing with church family at the 82nd Annual Convention of the Church of God, Full Gospel Hall, Georgetown, on the waterfront, from the 3rd to the 10th of February. Free meals served daily and transportation is available by calling 926-8180.
Hello, I am Noel March, a small business owner in Georgetown for over 20 years. Small businesses depend on government to develop a quality infrastructure and environment that encourages entrepreneurs to create and grow local businesses, resulting in the creation of jobs and prosperity for Caymanians. Small businesses help drive our economy. Just as we have supported building the new airport, we must support the building of the new cargo and cruise port. It will give our tourism industry the opportunity to grow and Caymanian entrepreneurs the chance to shine. Support the port. Support our tourism.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we continue focusing on not just the educational opportunities, but the opportunities to involve and upskill and hopefully introduce our students to the wonderful, chances and means and ways of which our students can not only excel, but as they would say in the academic world, become well-rounded citizens. Joining us in the studio is Justine Roll, part of the Cayman Area-sponsored Junior Achievement Company, Autocycle.
Yes.
All right. It's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
Perhaps off the bat, what sort of attracted you to being involved and wanting to become involved in junior achievement?
That would be one of my closest friends, Martina Butler, who was in the Junior Achievement Group last year, and she got the opportunity to go to Peru because they won the Koi program, and that really sort of inspired me to join the program so I could meet new people, meet new friends, learn about business enterprise, since I do want to become a business owner in the future as well.
Well, only if you want to share. Certainly I won't ask you for any proprietary part, but you have your vision, you know what you would like to do if the opportunities present themselves?
Yeah, I do, and Junior Achievement has really given me the opportunity to go ahead and do that.
And that's the thing, we look at the country as a whole and the fact that we talk about financial services. Back in the day, there was only banking, tourism was how we referenced the pillars. Now we've sort of expanded, and perhaps a more honest reflection of what it is. Yeah. But our people have this resolve, this entrepreneurial spirit, almost innate. Yeah. JA gives them that chance to explore and to appreciate it.
It really does, because those aren't the only options available, and I have so many friends, and even my brother as well. Like, there's so many opportunities available. So many people think it's only restricted to financial services because that's what's most prevalent on the island. But Junior Achievement has really taught me that it's not the only thing there. There's so many other ventures that you can go into.
And then, as we understand, through involvement in the process, not just the camaraderie and the friendships that you make, but the notion that you have, like life, you have to work in teams, you have to understand interpersonal skills. Yep. But you get the operations of a company from the perspective of incorporating and then eventually dissolving the company. Yeah. Fun so far?
I mean, it's been sort of stressful seeing as... For the first time, because I'm the president of the company, for the first time, I'm really working with so many different people that I've never really known before. And we have a very strong-willed group, and we have very strong personalities, and those sometimes clash. And as the president, it's my job to sort of delegate tasks and figure out, okay, you do this. And it's really hard to maintain the balance between like democracy and not being too like authoritarian. And it's really hard to balance that, but it has been a really good adventure so far.
Our parents and our teachers talk about interpersonal skills. They talk about getting along and managing teams, and things that are good in life, but certainly will be beneficial, in our adult, mature working lives. Right? You get an introduction to that now in somewhat of a controlled setting, right? You learn a little bit about yourself, and you learn a lot about others as well.
I've really learned about what it's like to just incorporate talking to other people and just being able to work with people I wouldn't necessarily talk to on a regular basis. And even though I don't necessarily like that person or we aren't the best as friends, we have to do what's best for the company.
A lot like life, huh?
Yeah.
Can we all just get along this? Tell us about AutoCycle, and as you share with us, tell us about it, because last year you were with us, part of your grouping, and that was fun. I like that. But AutoCycle?
So AutoCycle is our junior achievement company sponsored by Cayman Airways. We're led by myself and the amazing Miss Joanne West, who is our chief advisor. And we produce ottomans, which are like footstools. So if you've had a really long day at work, you can come home, sit on your chair, rest your feet up for some rest and relaxation. But what makes our ottomans / footstools super unique is the fact that on the inside of them, we use plastic bottles that would otherwise be thrown away. We take them to the Junior Achievement Cayman Airways headquarters. We wash them out, disinfect them, and then we insulate them with foam. Then we wrap them as well, and we have our team which hand stitches them, and then we produce ottomans, and they're really good.
I want to ask two things as we talk about this notion of giving our students not just the skill sets within the classroom, but opportunities outside of the classroom. Two questions. One, how did you sort of come upon this particular concept? And then secondly, an idea of what is involved, how many days you meet, how often you meet, how long in the process. But first, why, how did you come to this concept, this particular time around?
We all decided as a group that we definitely wanted to do something in regards to recycling. I read an article on Cayman Compass the other day, and it said on average the Cayman Islands produces about 65,000 tons of garbage. 14% of that is just plastic that is being sent to the landfills, and plastic takes years and years to degenerate. So we decided we definitely wanted to do something to stop that kind of crisis. And we came with a bunch of ideas, but this is the one we thought made the most sense and could really help, because we use like a good 30-something bottles in just one ottoman alone, and it's just really been a journey collecting them, and that's why we decided to do it initially. And your second question was?
When you're involved, so you have your school day, you have all the other things, you meet, we're going to ask you, how often you meet and how long, so how much sort of time is involved in your JA?
Okay, so officially, we're only supposed to be meeting.
I like how you put that.
Yeah. We're only actually supposed to be meeting every Wednesday between about 5:30 to 7:30. However, we stay till about 9 almost every single time. On top of that, we always have extra production, because almost every time we go to a sales day, we sell out and we need to make more, and we just need to keep on producing. So we've had times where it's just Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We're going to have one this week, Saturday. It's just pretty much nonstop. Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing. And I think those of us who are either involved because we're advisors, mentors, or whatever the term is now, and or we're the parents, or we're somehow connected, we know that there's a commitment. And in addition, you have your schoolwork, you have band, choir, church, sports, you have all these other things.
But it's another thing that I really like about it. It has really much of my time, because sometimes I'm like, oh wait, let me do my homework now. Oh, I have to do it right now because I have junior achievement later. I can't wait till later. I can't do it till tomorrow, because by the time I get home, I'm going to want to go to sleep. So.
If I may, especially from that perspective of time management and the like, and I think it's something that all of us, student or parent, it doesn't matter, we struggle with at times. Some of us are very good, except when it's someone else imposing upon us.
Yeah.
The notion that you have junior achievement and then you have whatever this other thing is, and they're going to both meet that day. It's going to require time. Making choices, prioritizing. How does that, if you're comfortable, how does that work for you? How do you decide that? What drives it?
It's really difficult to make sure that you get everything right on time. I had to definitely make sure that I had no other clubs or other activities on the Wednesdays, because my Wednesdays are just specifically reserved for junior achievement. But I've had other commitments other days, but we had extra production to do. But to me personally, because I'm the president and I want to be a role model to everyone else, junior achievement is my number one priority. And I might have extra production on our Friday night. I was supposed to go out with my friends to Kamana Bay to watch a movie or something. I cancel that because I have JA. Okay. And luckily we have a team that basically does the same thing. JA is the top priority.
Perhaps hypothetical, but I'm sure we can all relate to it. It probably even within your group, or you have junior achievement Friday night, for argument's sake. Just use that as an example, and extra production because you got to meet the expected orders and the like. But Friday night, the other group, youth group at church, another club that you may be involved in, have something that's coming up equally, and they're both pressing, they're both important. Making that decision as to how you split your time, which one you go to. Has there been anything that you could share with us so far that may help us when we struggle with those decisions?
I had something similar to that, where I had a competition to go to and my entire team was relying on me, but it was the same night that I had an extra production for junior achievement, and I did end up going to the competition because otherwise they couldn't enter it. And I made up for that, even though I didn't go to that specific meeting. I did make up for it in that I took some things home with me and, worked on them there. Or if I didn't come in that day, the next week I did extra hard, stuff like that.
And thank you for sharing, because I think even as adults sometimes we're at work, we're working whatever it is, and if we can take that work home, in a sense, or maybe we don't work at the physical work site, but we can work elsewhere. We do that in life. Similar to what you shared. Yeah. And I think that's one of the good things that we're starting to now for Auto Cycle, for those of us who want to maybe contribute to its continued success, to be supportive. What can we do? How do we go about it?
So one thing that we do have is a bottle drop-off scheme at the Cayman Airways headquarters, where if you want to help us and you have some extra plastic bottles lying at home, you can bring them there and help us out. You can also come to our many sales days that we're having and help buy our products. You can follow us at autocycle.ky. We have an Instagram and we have a Facebook account as well. You can help us spread the word. There's so many methods.
All right. Now, for the bottles that you would want us to drop off, what are we looking at? 50-gallon drums? Are we looking at the drinking? Tell us what you're looking for.
The regular Aquafina bottles are fine, but we also really like the 2-liter bottles like Sprite or Pepsi or anything. Those are amazing. Those are the ones we really like. But one struggle we did come up with is that we couldn't find enough of them, so we had to go for the Aquafina bottles as well and double up. But just not the 5-gallon.
No.
Anything with a handle? No, thank you.
And this is where I think we may want to recycle, we may take into the recycling, and I think increasingly we're doing more. But here is repurposing and utilizing it in such a way, and I'm giving you now for those who may want to purchase. 2 questions again: some of your sales days and the purchase price, different information. Share with us.
So we also have cement keychains that we have, and those are $3 for people who are not interested in the ottomans. But the ottomans range depending on size. On average, I'd say it's about $15, but we do have some bigger ones, which are $18 and $20 as well. The sales days that we have confirmed right now, we have 2 February 23rd at the Animal House Dog Show at Duke's Barbecue. And then we have A.L. Thompson's. We have that. You can find us anytime between about 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on that day. We also have March 2nd, the Red Sky Festival, as well, between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. And March 6th, the Agricultural Show. And we'll be there basically all day, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
You know, it's amazing to see how Junior Achievement continues to grow and how it's involved so many students and so many adults have come on board to assist in certain ways in different companies, sharing their boardrooms or some offices just for the physical space to meet.
Yeah.
And then for the parents, I think, for being the transport vehicles.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
It's difficult, huh?
Yeah.
I certainly appreciate you sharing with us, and as you talk to our listeners, and like, what more would you want us to know about Autocycle, about Junior Achievement, or another thing in particular? What do you want to share with us?
One thing that we do in particular is that 10% of the final profit that we earn, it goes to Golden Age Home, which is an adult disabled center in West Bay, which we believe requires a lot of extra funding. And 10% of what we earn goes there, and just to generally support us, because we really are not only trying to sell this product, but just help increase recycling on our island. Reduce
that amount of stuff that goes to the landfill that could be recycled, huh? And it just shows us that sometimes I know that we say things and they become almost like a cliche, but it's true. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah.
Well, one woman's trash, but women don't have trash. Everything they have is a treasure. But it's true. How do you look at this thing? How do you value it, and how can you use it so that it has continuing value and benefit? I must commend you. You guys have a great resolve, and as you shared, the strong personalities, I think, just makes it for a stronger team, right?
Yeah.
Well, good luck. There is, I think, this is the deadline, a timeline, maybe it would be a better term. You start the school year, you go through, and then at some point, this all comes to a head until the next cohort comes through. Your timeline isn't that far away. I mean, the school year isn't it?
It's definitely not. JA in particular ends about March, the end of March time. Right. So you have until then to really help and support us.
There you go, man. And thanks so much to you.
You're welcome.
You really, it's inspiring to see our students continually avail themselves of what is here. And as you were speaking earlier, you may have heard, to some of the former students, or maybe the alumni would be the better word, of UWC. We'll get more of our people looking at educational opportunities that exist, and hopefully, as a community, we'll be continued, very supportive.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, all right?
Thanks for having me.
Maybe next year you'll be a part of it, you think, again? We'll see.
Possibly.
Well, if you are, and I know Cayman Airways has always been a very staunch supporter. Their team, we look forward to having them on board.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
And good luck.
Thank you so much.
Autocycle. So Facebook, all the social media places, right?
Yes.
All right. We're going to pause and take a break. And when we come back, we have some open line. Hopefully, a fellow who joins us from time to time that we have not had a good opportunity to have in the studio. Well, hopefully we'll be able to do that. You want to know who it is? Well, stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for the 7 a.m. news, brought to you by Cayman National Bank, proudly serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
It's 2019, and you know what they say, new year, new me?
Yeah, Bobo. For me, it's new year, new car.
For real? What you thinking of buying?
The new RAV4 from Avant Motors. It's one of the safest compact SUVs out there with enough room inside, which is good for my family and convincing my wife we need this. Plus, it's fuel efficient, fun to drive, and on top of that, it's on sale too.
Yeah, and I hear it's one of the best-selling SUVs on the market.
Cause you don't gotta spend more to do more. That's why I'm gonna get mine now, while they have a new stock to select from.
Do more in your RAV4. Save thousands on the all-new 2019 RAV4. Test drive yours today and see why the RAV4 is a best-selling SUV in Cayman. Available only at Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go.
Puritan, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. Take advantage of our ongoing discounts on all men and women's apparel. Ask about other discounts available in store. 3 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine. Free pickup and delivery available. Call Puritan Cleaners at 949-7104. You feel good when you look good.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. There's some open line, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's go to our phones and join our callers and thank them for not only listening, but for actively engaging and participating. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Not bad at all. I wanted to catch your young ladies to give them hearty congratulations for absolutely getting a very, very, very high rating in this region for junior achievement, the gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
They beat people from Canada, Central America, and throughout the Caribbean. And it is remarkable. I'd like to thank the parents, the students who participated, and the sponsors who got involved to make Retire a success.
Mm-hmm. You know,
there's a tremendous amount of value. Junior achievement set the tone for business opportunities for youngsters, enabling them to get a good grasp of business in the first instance, all aspects of business. And today, a large number of our entrepreneurial society, Caymanian entrepreneurial society, got their beginning in junior achievement.
You know,
also, junior achievement celebrates 100 years as of this year, as of this year, 2019. and I think we are 30 years old in the Cayman Islands, and we have assisted somewhere in the region of more than 2,000 youngsters in our alumnus program.
You know, as I listen to you and sharing that, here is another way that whether it's the NGOs or whether it's the service clubs or the like, but the entities outside of core government being able to support, nurture our community, and in particular, if you'll guide me in this to make sure that people hear the message, not so much the messenger, what the private sector, the non-governmental sectors can and should be and are doing in our society is remarkable.
It is indispensable. It is more than remarkable, because junior achievement, along with other Rotary programs and other programs that are part of NGO communities in Cayman, contribute significantly to a sustainable future, enabling youngsters to get a platform when some of these youngsters would have been aimless otherwise. Redirecting them and repurposing them and helping them to try to find significant fulfillment.
If I could ask, sorry, could I ask of you, only from the capacity of you being who you are with the intellect, the insight, and the involvement in our community. I had, today's Friday, Monday was a holiday, and perhaps thankfully so, because it maybe gave an opportunity for some of us to have a conversation in a less than formal setting. But all this week, there's been a tone and a theme resonating in a number of the discussions with the different, almost seemingly disparate groups, in that a question was asked, in this country at present, are we doing enough to be as inclusive of all of our students and exposing them to these opportunities? And sort of in tandem, are we, whether deliberately or inadvertently, causing some sectors of our society, and this was the emphasis, our young Caymanian students, to be displaced? Now, one person said, I don't want to say disenfranchised and disillusioned and what have you, but they're being displaced, so that whether it's the junior achievement like programs and introduction to business, whether it's a sporting activity of sorts, whether it's an opportunity to travel, whether it's a direct educational and academic pursuit, that we're not valuing. And I ask you that only because something that I think some of us may not even have appreciated. When you said that retire, that was one of the last years, I believe, junior achievement companies that position the Cayman sort of junior achievement program on a global scale.
Yes.
Right? We have this aptitude, we have this tenacity, and this incredible ability that obviously manifested itself amongst our seafarers and their, spouses and, well, most of the women folk that were behind in keeping the society going and transforming and perhaps propelling. But we also see it within our continuing young people and their development, that they can hold their own globally. So is there a disconnect?
From our experience and working with several organizations across the Rotary, but with our sporting community and with other communities that have direct access to this particular target market, youngsters, we are inclusive. I can speak wholeheartedly with authority that Rotary is inclusive. So every aspect, every sector of our young people population in this community, residents and Caymanians alike, do get significant opportunities. And sometimes those opportunities are not maximized, they are not utilized, unfortunately, because some people are tuned out and some people, for some reason, are not tuned into hearing and understanding how positive the impact is to their youngsters. So it comes down sometimes to parenting, and it comes down to some direction on the part of teachers. However, on a whole, I would say we are 80% climbing up that ladder of having everybody know what is happening having access to the opportunity and understanding the qualifications to be considered candidates. So junior achievement is has a wider funnel and enables youngsters of varied skill sets to come together, form companies, and become part of a successful entity subject to rules and regulations that are established, compliance, and they have to learn accounting. They have to learn all the disciplines regarding the success of a business. There are other programs that require instantly that you have to be performing at a certain level to be able to qualify. That creates aspiration, and that creates the impetus being extended to people who are not achieving as much to say that you can be positioned there. You can go to World Affairs Seminar in Wisconsin if you do what you need to do. You can go to RILA, which is an international youth leadership program, if you perform at a particular level. Junior achievement is at a lower level, but enables those who want to pull up their bootstraps to become overachievers to do so. So I do think that the opportunity is here. And I also think that our small population enables significant reach out and opportunity for almost everybody. It's like when we do have games amongst us, because there's such a small number, whomever has determined that they want to be athletic and they want to train, their flag can be flown high.
Right.
So I believe in comparison to other jurisdictions, we do have an edge. We just need to utilize what we have.
And I think this is why I appreciate being able to ask you, not only because of the many hats and sort of pawns that you're fishing, as it were, but the notion that these and so many other programs exist that perhaps not many of us are as aware that they are there, and especially as educators and as parents and trying to nurture and guide our children. So you just give us a quick synopsis of some of the many different programs, man. But thank you for sharing, man. Any other thoughts and comments you have?
I cannot tell you what effort it took for that junior achievement company to overwhelm the rest of this region, which includes very talented youngsters from diverse economies and from larger human resource pools than we have. And we have triumphed, and we have gotten a gold medal and earned it, a champagne bubble rising to the top. Now, these youngsters, I can assure you, watch this space. Every one of those youngsters are going to end up somewhere in professional life, and they're going to be recontributing to our society in some way very positively. Right. Not only that, each one of those youngsters is going to light a candle of inspiration for others behind them. And each one is going to guide at least 5 other youngsters towards the same kind of goal and aspiration that they have been able to achieve.
Yeah, man.
And that is awesome. That is awesome.
Inspiring, indeed. And I say thank you very much, man. Hopefully we get a chance to bring you on one day, sit next to us.
And I really thank you, Raider Cayman, for being a partner in enabling these youngsters to be what they are.
Well, it is.
Cayman, I can assure you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because for us here, I believe I can say this without fair contradiction. We do this because we see the value in supporting, promoting, recognizing our communities, and if we can inspire our children as we nurture them, hey, it's going to be good for all of us, right?
Yeah.
All the best to you, my friend.
I thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
And I thank.
All right. In the studio, joining me, I've been, I think, far too long. Probably because the guy's working too hard sometimes, Mr. Mario Rankin. A Friday afternoon and spending some time with you, open mic segment. It's a good way to spend a Friday afternoon.
It certainly is. It certainly is, and I give thanks obviously for Radio Cayman allowing me to come on so I could share opinions and dialogue and open dialogue on a lot of different topics in Cayman.
I appreciate it, man. I'll just sharing with the caller, and I don't think it's by default. I know that it wasn't just deliberate in trying to structure a narrative, but it just happens. I enjoy sometimes being able to move about the community. Sometimes it's deliberate. And sadly, sometimes it's extended because you're being pulled in many different directions and pulled away from family commitments, for instance.
Right.
But it's all part of being able to contribute. I share that to say that this week, so many things have unfolded and a few things. So I do my very, very best not to get you in trouble, not to lead you too far down, But
I do a good job at that myself.
What is it that I tell people? The scripture should say, lead me not into temptation, for I shall find it myself. I don't need you to help me get in trouble. Keep me out of it, right?
Right.
But I found that as I'm not wanting to speak at a school nor to identify people, but to speak to the process and to the principle of the issue, people this week were sharing a number of things that I thought were remarkable. Had they deliberately, on their own, consciously, somehow decided, you know what, everybody reach out to him and tell him these things.
Right.
But their groups are so disparate that the settings were so different. But two things that struck, as I was sharing to the caller, the notion that there's a lot that exists. One fellow whose mate came on his home for a long time has always shared that what is now becoming like an accepted term, big fish in a small pond. Right? We've got people who see that, whether it's an educational pursuit or some other academic endeavor, whether it's athletics or whether it's the arts, even in the professions. Somebody who couldn't cut the mustard anywhere else is here. Right? And then we have others who are incredible. We're not doing enough to nurture them, to retain them, especially when they are our own.
Right.
We let them go because,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you just look at the diversity of different nationalities that we have here and how many, it's very telling and it's very obvious that we're a very open door policy sort of or jurisdiction. Because if not, it would be limited. There would be some proper structure as to, what type of people, who comes here. We obviously have some border issues where that we need to certainly tighten up on. There's a lot of things that have not been taken into consideration simply because we rely on certain dollars that are generated from certain things that happen within our society. We're a service-based society. That's no secret. So we need to one, figure out who we've allowed in, who we are allowed to be a part of our social fabric, and who we are as Caymanians. And we need to do that by reining in certain things and making sure that we're not outpacing ourselves. We're not too far ahead when it comes to certain areas within our development of our society, because we see that there's a lot of influence from the outside that is now obviously being a part of our who we are socially, and we need to get a grasp on that. And the only way to do that is we need to stick that pin. We need to draw that line in the sand and say, wait a minute, all right, we need to relook at who all have been allowed through the gates, who are allowed to remain in the gates, and what participation that they're on, and at what level, and is it disenfranchising the local people because there's not an equal balance integration of people along with our local people, and that's where we see the marginalization of locals and other people. I would be the first person to tell you that it would be insane for any Caymanian to believe that we don't need foreign injection or foreign participation, because if every person that is from a different nationality was to leave Cayman today, we'd be in a big mess, because our entire infrastructure and everything that we do is surrounded and depend on that participation, right? So you would never hear anybody that's reasonable sending of sorts. Obviously, there has to be a balance. There has to be a sustainability within that plan moving forward. And we need to now say, look, where we didn't have a strategic plan in place before, we need one now, because we see the social ills and the different things that are happening because of not having proper structure in place. So saying that, and then realizing that more and more we talk about the educational side of things, and we know where we're failing. I mean, it's there, the writing's on the wall. We know exactly where we're failing from an educational standpoint. And then we look at those who are educated, those who we didn't fail on, and we see how hard it is for them to get integrated and get back in and get into the fray of things and be high level participants in our society. So we don't only have a problem with educating enough of us, we have a problem with placing and ensuring that those who are educated has a rightful place within our society. So we need to be careful that because I can tell you right now, is that if you look at every revolution around the world, that has ever taken place, it wasn't done by people who were stupid. It was done by very educated people. So the last thing we want to do is keep building up our harvest stock of super educated people and nowhere to put them, because then it's going to become it's going to burst at the seams.
If I may ask, and this is why I enjoy listening to your contributions, whether here or anywhere, whether in person or otherwise, and I enjoy reading some of the things that you've posted from time to time. Mm-hmm. The fact that you're thinking, you're talking, you're encouraging, you're challenging, a thought process is not just refreshing, it's encouraging. Our people need to be able to, as long as we're respectful in that notion, it doesn't mean that we don't speak loudly. It doesn't mean sometimes we don't speak with a sense, I call it passion. Mm-hmm. Someone else may call it something else. With that in mind, though, if I may ask, we see the things that have happened in human history, just within the Caribbean. They talked about a brain drain at one time where, the people would leave. In the Cayman context, the question that was asked, or one question that was asked this week by a couple of people, is it deliberate or is it just we were inattentive? That we're creating this thing, this harvest stock they're talking about, or people either going to say, there's nothing here, so I'm going to leave, or they're going to say, but wait a minute, what? I can't get a drink of the water, I'm in a different queue, this got to change, and so you get that, and whatever it is.
Well, it's like anything else in society or on this planet, is that once you grow up being a part of something, and that is the thing that has always been perpetuated to you over the generations, it's hard to get outside of that box and see it from the outside. It's only when other people come into our society. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that do you think it's a mystery that a lot of people have come to our shores and have been super successful in different industries and have made a good living for themselves? You want to know why? Because they came from a place where none of that was available, and they came here and they saw things that we couldn't see because we are subliminally in a perpetual state of propaganda that tells us this is a system, this is how it works, this is what you should do, and this is your participation. Whereas they come from the outside with a fresh set of eyes, seeing things far differently from how we've grown to see things. And they take advantage of the things that we never thought that you would be able. And for one thing, right? Yeah. If it was something that was on the forefront of the development process of the educational system of our island, why is it that we weren't taught that real estate was a lucrative industry? Why wasn't taught that the hospitality was an essential part of the entire tourism makeup and who we are as a product? Why is it that none of these things were in the forefront when we came up? When I went into middle school, all I could learn about, all they wanted to teach us about was what other societies has done, not really focusing on what we had here as resources, right? Matter of fact, they didn't tell me that I was a resource and that I could turn my resource into a livelihood, right? And none of these things was taught to us. If it wasn't for a lot of the West Bay friends that I had, I must say, who a lot of their fathers were seamen and people. When I say seamen, I mean people who fished and were in water sports. Had it not been for them, a lot of those kids would have never been able to have that opportunity to be in that industry. So, and if you look at Cayman demographics now, more West Bayers are in water sports than any other district in Cayman, and that's a fact.
I want to maybe pick up on that if I can. And we are indeed speaking with Mario Rankin. I share this publicly, and if it's inappropriate, you tell me. I honestly, genuinely enjoy chatting with you because you spark lively discourse. You get you to think. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with what someone says or how they say it, but if it causes you to think, it helps you to, well, hopefully think, right? In the Cayman context, sorry, Mr. Fox, he just told me we need to take a break. I will. But here's what I want to talk about coming back. This idea of population growth and the idea that as we increase, we need more. And is that more causing us to grow more and the like? The notion of the resources that you talk about, us as people, the opportunities that exist in the different sectors.
Right.
And equally, some of these changes that are being driven. I'm just a bit got a couple of notes. I might even remember it. But we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some good discussion. Also want to ask the question to our listening public. I don't have an answer for it. Many people have questions. I almost want to venture to say complain that there are voices being heard of public officials championing certain things, and they wonder, is that doing a disservice to a process? We will talk about that when we come back. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
At KFC, we believe you don't have to share a last name to be a family. Whether it's an office party, holiday fete, or family gathering, enjoy KFC's fresh, hand-breaded finger-licking good chicken. The KFC Festive Feast includes 10 pieces of original recipe or spicy chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, tasty coleslaw, and warm biscuits. KFC's holiday catering menu includes buckets of hot wings, sweet chili wings, or chicken tenders. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
The 15th annual Cayman Economic Outlook returns on February 28th for another year of educating, informing, and stimulating the local community, bringing together industry thought leaders and business professionals to explore their theme, Dynamic New World, Braving the Turmoil. Speakers include economist Norina Hertz, University of Oxford professor Ian Golden, digital revolution journalist Andreas Ekstrom, biotechnology futurist Jamie Metzel, and professional surfer Mark Matthews. Tickets are selling fast. Reserve your seat at rfceo.ky.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us in the studio. Mario Rankin sits with us, and thanks. Hopefully, as I said at the outset, I don't put you in too much trouble, but if our people, all of us who live and work here and call this home, aren't acting in the best possible way to move the country forward, aren't ensuring that what we say and do is done in a way that makes it better. Now, I'm not going to sit around with a campfire and sing Kumbaya.
No.
Not particular about that at all. I'd sit with you and drink some fish tea, gladly. But as they say, come let us reason. Few of us are willing to do that, and to do so publicly. You, thankfully, have been a stalwart. So, hopefully that encourages others. Can I ask, unless you want to jump in, I ask?
Go ahead.
And again, this is not a question to you solely and only, right? But to the public. And I don't necessarily have an answer that I'll proffer yet. So a number of people, male, female, Caymanian, or Cayman defined by law or otherwise, however you want to put it, have said that they've heard. And I've heard the PSAs. Never really paid it a great deal of mind, And the question was, what does this do for the process of our civil service as we know it, of our sort of parliamentary system being on the Westminster model and the like, and that. And I don't wish to call them out, but because they've used their names on the PSAs, the acting director, the port, and then the new Georgetown district manager, in their PSAs saying that the value of the port and so on. These are civil servants, quasi-civil servants. I mean, do you have a view?
I do have a view, and I think it's outrageous because somehow, seemingly, we have convinced, or we have done such a good job of scaremongering other civil servants to remain mute when it comes to certain political issues. Yet we have one or two head of department civil servants who are championing radio ads. I listened to the ad that Mr. Woods have that he plays a serious role in, and he stated that and it's really ironic on the ad, because if you listen to the ad properly, it's very contradictory, because he said that Cayman's future depends on the port, because we import over $600 million worth of goods every year, blah blah blah, and that it's essential that we upgrade. It's a 40-year-old outdated port and all these things, right? And I agree with him 100%. The funny thing is that he never mentioned one thing of any substance to say or to justify that we needed a cruise pair, because right now the government is not out there selling us that they want to redevelop the cargo port. They're selling us that they want to build cruise pairs, because that is what our entire tourism product hinges on, and that if we don't build that we're going to somehow lose revenue or lose business or lose tourism. When the numbers say something totally different, because opinions and facts are opinions are something we can all have a difference of. Facts is something that we have to share. Right? Fair enough. The facts are the facts. I can't change the fact that that your name is your name. Yep. Now, I could say that I think his name is something different. Right. But the facts remain, right? So facts, we cannot change. Opinions, we have a difference of. Numbers never lie. So how is it that the acting port director can, one, in my personal opinion, breach his contract by speaking publicly about something that's very political, heavily political, and two, talk about all the things and then exclude the one important thing, which is one of the driving forces as to why you want to build a cruise berthing facility in Georgetown. Because one of the things that the public has been left in the dark on is the transparency aspect of this entire project, which was one of the driving forces from all of the groups that have now combined in order to say, hey, now the numbers, my opinion of that is that if we're going to say something to the public that's in the best interest of the public, and it's an entity that belongs to the public, I think you should get the information correct, and you should not leave anything out. So thank God he's only acting director of the port, and hopefully we'll find somebody who's more capable at the job, because I personally don't think he has the materials to do so.
I just shared you're reflecting your view, your opinion, right? Last evening, it was a discussion that I was privy to, and with what transpired, I said, okay, this isn't the first time this week alone that what was shared, came up. I said to the one individual, to the lady in particular, I felt like I was being raked over the coals. I'm not the governor, the deputy governor, the chief officer, the head of the department, the politician, the minister. My little job is just, if I wasn't here, you wouldn't even know it. It's a very simple, insignificant little job that I have, right? Nothing significant, nothing important. I am honored to be a public servant. I always believed that that's something I wanted to do, and I'm honored to be a part of the civil service. If they hired me tomorrow to think of what you think is the least
well, do you have to be hired to be a public service, or can you just be a public servant by nature?
Okay, but thank you. Good point. By nature, I think I have that mindset. Is civil servant specifically then, right? I'm honored to be that. Seriously, it's amazing. I get offended when something disparaging happens, because I feel it's family, right? So last evening, like so many times this week, that issue, those two voices specifically, not the voices of anybody else pro or against, and I'm being asked to justify it, and you're discrediting the civil service, the continuity, the integrity, the independence, all these things, right? And I'm thinking to myself, but that's probably not the intent. I wasn't worried that I'm not the person to justify it, but the fact that people in this community, maybe it's because of what we understand of what we think the British system of governance and civil service and the like. The politicians come and go. You do the job as a civil servant. You're the technicians with the knowledge, and you provide the continuity and so on, right? That was some of what was shared last night. And for this lady in particular, she used the word egregious nature. I mean, she, other than using bad words, she was really, really taking me to task. Now, was she justified? Was I being overly sensitive? Has it been undermining and discrediting the civil service, that civil servants or whatever capacity are being used? The question that she asked, what if a civil servant came out today and said they oppose the dump, the hospital, the whatever, or the port, would that civil servant still be allowed to publicly share that thing?
Well, here's a difference, and one thing I do agree with. I don't think that any civil servant should be out there campaigning or picketing for any one subject when it comes to politics, when it's political. I get that.
Okay.
But I think that every civil servant has the right to voice their opinion, right? And be a part of any democratic process that is allotted to them, especially through the Constitution.
Okay.
And I think that until we get to a point in our society where we clearly define the language of the Constitution so that people don't feel like they're being victimized, and that there is some protocol in place that ensures that if a person is victimized because of their political opinion or because of their political decision, that there are some ramifications for or something that could be done legally to prevent that from happening in the future. So,
right. Can I ask of you for some guidance, huh? And speaking to Mario Rankin, sometimes you need to be able to ask people something in order to get a perspective, right? So something that transpired again, and it was in passing last evening, but it was reflective of something else. Presumably, in the same vein, was it the petition for the referendum?
Right.
Okay. Isn't allowed to be placed near the government building for signatures, but there some music festival thing can sell tickets. Someone made a comment to me about that.
Right.
I said, well, I don't know. But they said, well, one is democracy and one is commercialization. Why is one allowed and one isn't? I don't have an answer. I didn't ask.
Right, and it's because it's all lost in translation, and it's because there's no clear, defined language within those particular policies. The reality is that if we had the resources to say, hey, let's hire a lawyer to actually comb through the things in the Constitution that allow us certain areas of for us to be productive in, I'm almost 100% sure that there's no law saying that we can't have the petition at the government office. You understand? I'm 100% certain that there's nothing in the Constitution that prevents it from being there. However, when you have politicians that decide to use discretion on a whim, right, and say, oh, well, I'm in head of the office, so I don't think personally that this will make, that this is practical to have it in our office. That's where we go wrong, because there's nobody holding them to task. There's nobody holding them accountable. Now, the minute you do hold them accountable, then they sing a different tune, because I remember the first day that we launched a petition, I called Mr. Manderson on his phone.
This is the Deputy Governor?
The Deputy Governor.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And I can quote him, and I said to him, I said, Mr. Manderson, I just want to clarify a few things, because we will be approaching civil servants, and I wanted to understand what civil servants were eligible to sign this petition based on the government contractual agreement. And he told me clearly, he said, and he sent me an email to back it up. And he made it very clear that it was only individuals that are in senior decision-making positions that were not allowed to participate. All other civil servants were eligible, and it was their right to participate. Now, even after saying that many times on the radio, publicly, we still have civil servants, and that's for their own personal reasons. And I don't get into an argument, because I cannot judge them, because I don't work in their environment. I don't want to assume that I know everything about their department. I take their word for it when they say, boy, Mario, even if I sign this and somehow to find out, my department going to give me trouble. You just don't understand how the system works. And I'd be like, you know what? I totally understand where you're going. But these same individuals are really, really anxious for it to get to the referendum so that they can participate, because they know that that's private and confidential, because it's more like an election process. So nobody knows what you voted for when it comes to the referendum. So I'm confident that once we trigger the referendum, we will have the outpouring support that we need in order to make a sound decision in terms of whether we need the port or not.
All right.
And when we look at all of the fundamental breakdowns in our society, I mean, let's just take the airport, because our ports are our biggest money makers. And we look at the airport, we look at the cruise port, and we look at the ministers in charge and the people who are on the boards and the people who are chairing these things. One has to ask the question, isn't there a lot of conflict involved with a lot of these appointments, and who's in charge and who makes the decisions? Because now we have $10 million that has been admitted of overruns at the airport, and the airport not done yet. I know there have to be some underlying things that we haven't been aware of yet that's going to come out after. And how do we justify by I mean, I almost had to hit a pause button and rethink this whole thing. I said, did I just hear that right? Oh, well, the public shouldn't worry because we're taking the revenue from the revenue generated on the airport. in order to pay for the overruns. And I'm saying to myself, well, isn't the airport still the purse of the people? I don't care. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it Airports Authority. You can call it Water Authority. You can call it National Roads Authority. It still belongs to the people. It's still the people's purse. So whether you paid for it from the revenue generated at airport or the revenue generated at NRA or the revenue generated anywhere else in our society that is a government entity, it's still our money. So I'm confused as to how is it that we get that far along the road on a project. That's why I'm concerned, Sterling. That's why this is really relevant to talk about, because here we are now on the heels of that talking about redeveloping a port that is twice or 3 or 4 times the cost. And if you didn't have proper planning to think that you should put hurricane-proof windows in hurricane-proof alley, you are island that is in hurricane alley. We got one of the highest standards of building codes in the Caribbean, but yet this thing passed whose desk? The board, the CIA board. So Mr. Guyton and all them got some questions to answer. Because if Mario was in charge, now obviously now if it was my brother or my nephew or somebody married to one of my family members and I the man in charge, maybe I give him a pass. Or do I? Me now, my principle's a lot different. If I get that report on my desk as minister, some heads got to roll, Sterling. I don't care what nobody say. Over $10 million in overruns, things that should have been done from day one. These checks and balances should have been checked off. The architect and planning and the people who funding this and the people who in charge should have never signed off on anything to get this far down the road. And then we realize that we need to put hurricane-proof windows in. I don't know. Some heads got to roll on that.
All right, when we come back, what do you have to say? What do you want to share? 949-8037 or a toll-free call, 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Police are renewing their appeal for help to locate a man who was last seen on Boxing Day. 72-year-old Errol Keith Whiteley was initially reported missing on January 22nd. Since then, police received reports that he was seen in the vicinity of Seymour Road. However, officers say further investigations have determined that was not true, and the last confirmed sighting was on December 26th. He is not thought to be dangerous and frequents the Washington Boulevard area. If you see him, you are encouraged to contact the Georgetown Police Station at 949-4222. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, Thailand pollution crisis. The city where face masks have sold out. In the past 2 weeks, schools across Bangkok have had to close due to toxic smog. The government has even deployed. The UK has objected to Gibraltar being described as a colony in European Union legislation, allowing UK nationals to travel to the EU after Brexit. The EU proposed allowing visa-free travel for Britons in November. The Spanish government has since insisted a footnote be added describing Gibraltar as a colony and referring to controversy over its status. And World Cup 2022 host Qatar won their first ever Asian Cup with a 3-1 victory over 4-time winners Japan. Forward Almoez Ali broke the record of goals scored by a player at a single Asian Cup when he notched his 9th with a brilliant overhead kick. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today in the studio, sitting with Mario Rankin. And as we're chatting, hopefully, some people are sitting and thinking, Some may be on pins and needles. Some may say, boy, you probably have a job come Monday, but I don't know whether they're referring to me or you.
No, well,
maybe both
no.
ones.
There's no blame on your shoulder. I take all the blame.
No, man. No,
I like to call things how it is because you know, Sterling, I have to be very, very honest with myself, and I have to be honest with everybody else. People mightn't like me for who I am as a person, and that's fine. I take my good with my bad, but the reality is that if you go back and you look at the history of what I've done, from a public standpoint, I've never swayed away from anything. I've always been consistent in whatever I said and whatever I believe in, and truthfully, I've taken a lot of licks for it, and that's fine. I get it. That's the cost of doing things that you feel and that you're passionate about. So I understand that, and I make no apologies, and I wouldn't do anything any different. The reality is that I know that if Mario Rankin was in charge of the airport's board or any of these projects that are going sour, they wouldn't put me under Northward. They would build a tunnel under Northward and put me in. You know, the thing is that when we look at classism and we look at double standards in our country, it exists. Some people get a walking pass, and for whatever reasons, but we need to stop this type of accountability moving forward. Because Sterling, at the end of the day, $10 million could do a lot for a lot of people in Cayman.
Yeah. Can I read? And for those who are listening, listen, you know, if you don't participate in a democracy, do you then have a democracy? If you don't have a free and fair and unfettered access to a public voice, is it of any value? So if you want to share thoughts, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. If you have another way to get a message to us, go right ahead, use that avenue. Some of you feel that's a better way. Go right ahead. Publicly, call us 949-8037, or you can call toll free 1-800-534-8255. Mario, here's a WhatsApp. Let me read this to you the way it's sent through. Okay, and this is in reference to the airport and the cost overruns. It says, stop lying. No hurricane-resistant windows and no gateways, and yet $10 million over budget. OMG. Now, that's this listener's contribution.
Well, you know, I have to, and I take it, and I'm almost sure that the person was being sarcastic, but you know, I have to share their concerns, and I think that anybody that's reasonable is listening to that. Have to shake their head and have to say to themselves, wait a minute. We designed a building, had it approved, and commenced work without having hurricane-proof windows. I mean, Sterling, you know what's really upsetting about this is that I honestly think and I honestly believe that they think that Caymanian people are living under some conch shell, and that we don't take the time to bring ourselves up to speed and understand our surroundings, and that this sort of thing could happen over and over. I mean, we've seen it from the schools. We now see it transition into the airport, and now they expect us to allow them to build a port with the same government, the same type of movements that they have produced in the past. None of them have proven themselves adequate enough or capable enough to do anything of this magnitude. I mean, a simple $50 million renovation of the airport that don't include jetways, by the way. Now, you think about this now, Sterling. If let's just say, for argument's sake, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's just say that we couldn't afford the jetways right now. So then, why didn't we build an airport with provisions that would have allowed us to easily add those jetways when we could afford it? You need 2-story building in order to accommodate jetways. So why we got single-story building? Why we have a building now that we'd have to add a whole new floor on just to accommodate jetways? So that $10 million now turns into another $50 million. Or what are they going to do? They're going to run down the road and build an additional to the airport with jetways? Because let me tell you something, nothing is strange with this government, you know. The problem is, my friend, is that how are we going to sit back and allow them to overrun $10 million when we got people that are genuinely struggling, not because they're not working, but because the cost of living is so high and nobody's doing anything about it. We got the Minister of Tourism who's running around here telling us that if we don't build a cruise pier, that our tourism product is at jeopardy, and that is his mandate to ensure that the continuity of our tourism product is intact. Well, Mr. Minister, I have this message for you. 20% of our overall tourism generates $600 million out of the $800 million that we currently get. Those are your numbers. Why is it that we are facilitating a cruise berthing facility to further strain our infrastructure, to further strain our tour destinations and all of the water sports activity, to further strain the things that our stayover tourists come to enjoy, and create that poor quality of experience, as opposed to saying to yourself, if 20% is making 600 million, by God, 50% should be making $1 billion. So why are we not emphasizing on extending, upgrading, and ensuring that our air arrivals is our golden child? And why? And one other question: how is it that we have? I mean, why do we have different things like Cayman Airways, for instance? When we look at Cayman Airways and we look at all the routes and going through Cayman Brac and all, why for the life of me we got a jet flight? I mean, our big plane, the 800 MAX flying into Cayman Brac with 12 people on it, when you got 160 seats for show and tell. These are the things that we need to tighten up on. You know,
we have a caller online in the studio. We have Mario Rankin. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon to you, man. How are you?
Afternoon.
Yeah, good man. I a bit now. I harsh on my feelings now.
Yes,
right?
Please.
My scenario and perspective differently now. You understand?
Right.
Listen to me. In the last comment about the Brac thing, I'm a Brac. My mother said Brac. They had a bit now. This is Friday evening, the Brac thing.
Right.
It's cargo, space. That was scenario of it. They had a bit now. I got to address my thing in my heart away, right? Not obvious, right? In a project, with domestic capital level, you don't have a specific figure. You got over expenditure. You give and take. You understand? I see, darling Mario, I see a voter suppression around the corner. Voter suppression for a phase or a change. Hello, it ain't got change. It's in temporary. Like I say, a phase now, right? I gotta be theorized now, right? I do a lot of reading. I got prefers to skate or divide it separately, right? Like I said again, 2014, I called a talk show. I took Isabella, Arden, and Austin Harris, and Mr. Gil McLean for the airport East End. The jetway currently inefficient. The gun range on the corner. It's about East End. That's all out. But we don't know about that one. Right? They approach for that. She put a fight. Like I said again, right? So whatever play out, will play out. And like I said again, darling, you know, as a kid, I support the port, not to the fullest.
Right.
I support it. Yeah, don't listen to me. I just set a petition. And then I send it too. Because I'm myself no governor. I know that's simple. And that transparent legacy to that. That waste of time. Right? And do a thing and advocate for what I do. It's professional. You think it's Trump or Trump will lie last night, boy. That war guys go. He realized he can know about that one. Yeah, he admit it. He made it. That different scenario. Theresa May, a different scenario across the pond. I went to London, 1994, now 10 years old. Who cares, right? But I tell how it go. My boy was south, now Venezuela, different scenario. What about Putin and the Brexit? Right? It's starting, you have the kind of argument Monday, and have it with the psychiatrist.
You heard about it?
Yeah, my people, I fall on that, man. Don't want to tell me nothing. I fall on her, man. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
But it's different, like I said again, anything you build, you overspend. You go to the market, you put something on the aisle, you travel, Sawgrass Mall, whatever. You wherever travel, you put it back down. Hello.
Yeah, man.
Right, you understand? The input in the care. What problem came on now is long-term planning and master planning. That's a problem. Come in, it's starting. I don't know who will be the future politician now. But like I said again, a voter suppression around the corner. It's a phase now. Because you think the future politician, they adapt the same thing. Oh, they value more health, whoever it is. That I feel, that I see. Go ahead, sir. You want to something? Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you about the Monday program, but let's leave that for now. I was going to ask you how you
What we talking about now?
You said on Monday You haven't.
Yeah, the cannabis. Yeah, man.
How'd you find out about that one? Which channel you used to?
That man, that need legalize the fullest, man. That is single recreation, everything, man. Everything, the maps, everything, boo.
All right, man.
Don't hide that, because came on, Sterling, before let it go. You came on, no?
Yeah.
We have a tendency of prejudging, prejudice against some people. You surprised who do the harder drugs?
Yeah, man.
All right?
All right.
Cool.
We chat some more. And,
yeah, more time, more.
Enjoy your weekend, all right? Thanks.
Man.
Cool. We have another caller, Mr. Rankin.
Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome. You want to talk today?
Good afternoon again, Mr. I'm Christian.
Good afternoon again, sir. How are you today?
Mr. Mario, pretty good, thank God.
Good afternoon.
You got plenty of time to talk to.
Well, that's a good thing, sometimes.
Yeah. Mr. Mario, hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have been trying to find out about the Red Bay. Now, first, there's some of the advantages I see of having the port up there. The people on the cruise ship won't be coming off until the traffic coming from east are already in town. So it won't be a obstruction to the traffic coming into town. The people going to Stingray City and all that can load up at Grand Harbor, and more business to the yacht club, which is just a stone's throw away. We've been shorter distance of people travel, those going to Stingray City and all that, and less gas and more time for the buses to take them down there. One of the most scenic parts up there is across Walker's Road and South Church Street, where we have everything from Glasses House, Smith's Cove, all those historic buildings we have in Old Cayman, like Sylvester Johnson's place, and we have schools and churches, and we have very many tourists are interested in. So there's no show except the Enterprise City going up. That should have some shops in and people to shop in. Mm-hmm. And avoid again some of the congestion in town. If people go to stock eating rock and such, we're not having to go into the center of town. And dropping them off up there with the market, it would avoid a lot of congestion again in town. It's still going into the shop.
Do you think, though, if I interject, I believe there have been public presentations from the bona fide sea captains, probably some.
The only one I haven't heard about is sea captain.
Mm-hmm. But do you think now that ship has sailed?
Huh?
Do you think that ship has sailed? That we have now developed that area, the Red Bay area, so extensively, residentially and some commercial activity, that even if that was by public consensus a viable option, now we know the government has said they want to consider one place, and that's in the port in town. Even if that was considered to be the best option, is it too late now? We can't do it there even if we wanted to?
No, I don't think it's too late.
How so?
But, okay, let's build a Red Bay, starting from the reef. If you have a narrow strip of land inside of the reef, it would not harm the reef. I need a small strip for tying up the ship.
Yes, sir. Well, Mario, I just hold on. Yeah, Ms. Mario.
No, I just want to interject for a second, because I mean I don't have any issues discussing an alternative site for the port, but what we're missing here is the fundamental issues that more people bring to our shores, and this is where I think the breakdown has come in. We've got to remember now, right? Is that okay? Fine. Let's say we found the most suitable spot for it. That has the least amount of environmental damage and it creates commerce and everything on that end of the island, fine. But it still doesn't change the fact that it is going to overload our infrastructure. It's going to create a poor experience for all of our tourism, not just them. We need to be honest with ourselves and say, listen, what is our number? What is it that we can accommodate that we do not destroy our overall product, that we do not destroy the quality of the experience to our tourists? We need to say, here's our number, let's accommodate that. But if we keep talking about let's bring millions and millions and millions of people, and we don't have any way or any means to accommodate and facilitate and to create a good experience and balance it between our stay over and our cruise, we're going to destroy the whole thing. So it's all fine and well to talk about an alternative location, but if we're going to find an alternative location and pile all these people in and create a bad experience, and then next thing you know, that $600 million that are being made from the 20% stay over, that disappear, and the 100% of cruise passengers cannot make up that money that is being lost. This is the problem that we have in. Wash away these ideas about putting it somewhere else. We do not need to. We need to find that balance between our stay over and our cruise, and we need to increase our stay over because that is the bread and butter of our tourism product.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you, Mr. Mario, but I think Red Bay would be less problems, or the people have more enjoyable.
Right, and you may be right. Yeah.
From there, especially on spots. Look at the area around spots at the land end. All the come off the ship and get in the buses.
Mm-hmm.
We could make a piece of, I have a channel going from east to west. The ships will come in one end and go out the other. Then have a large strip of land for people coming off the ship. And then a few 100 feet in, 100 yards, we have dig out all those areas near to the shore.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do really swimming or anything, and create a nice beach, maybe 2 or 3 times the longest public beach, that a lot of people wouldn't have to be going to 7 Mile Beach.
Well, I think
also a beautiful place for all the residents, and it would increase the value of all those houses on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
All I'm hearing is that some people object, and I can't see why.
All right. Well, that's something, and leave us with that, and with that, seeing the time, Mario got one short break. We take that when we come back. Okay. See how fast time goes. Please stay tuned for Talk Today. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Whether you're planning your child's next birthday party or simply looking for a social night out, look no further than Kingpin Bowling at King Sports Center.
With a range of packages and specials for bowling parties, socials, and corporate team building, Kingpin Bowling offers what no one else can. The only bowling alley in Cayman. And it's indoor fun, which means no mosquitoes, AC, and don't forget about their bowling bar. Book your bowling lanes today. Call 946-BOWL. That's 946-2495. Email kingpinbowling@candw.ky. For more information, visit their website, www.kingsportscenter.com.
King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to at the very least, get to learn a little each day. Mario Rankin sits with us. Thanks for your time, man. And
thanks too again for letting me come in and I like I say again, have these discussions. One thing I wanted to respond to the caller before the last Rambo, he had said that with every project there's expected expenditures and overruns. I agree. I agree with that. But that's why when you have capital projects that is being paid for by the public purse, you have certain bonds that these construction companies have to put in place, so that if they do go over without any reasonable reason to do so, then that cost is their expense, not ours. And if we keep allowing these things to happen, it's just going to keep happening. And to the tune of what? I mean, let's say we do have a cost overrun expectation, but to the tune of what? Where's the limit? Not $10 million for sure. I mean, that's 20% of the project. And the project isn't done yet. So that's unacceptable on all levels. In fact, I don't encourage the ideology that we should expect overruns, but nobody's held accountable for it. Because I'm not saying that's what he was suggesting.
No.
I am just simply saying is that as a small country that generates limited GDP and has a bunch of services that make up that GDP, which creates the social strain on our society, we must be very careful. We must have all of the checks and balances put in place, because $10 million is way too much to just say, oh, well, we expect overruns. Not having hurricane-proof windows, in fact, should have never left planning. It should have never gotten a car to commence any work without having all of these things in place. So, again, there are so much things that could be done prior to. We have to be proactive and not reactive. And that's what I see have happened to Cayman in many cases, why we just let things go. I mean, here we are in a situation in 2019, and we don't have jetways and we don't have provisions for jetways on a newly renovated airport. That's unacceptable. And we have people who run in these departments and these boards who are on there who have failed histories of the businesses in their back pocket, but yet somehow they seem to find themselves at the top of the pole of decision making for projects like this. And then we see these things happening and we say, oh, well, for those who are aware, that's expected, because we see businesses that they have ran in the past that failed, but yet we put them as chairman of these boards, and all of a sudden they're supposed to be, these shining diamonds, and then when they fail, we act shocked, and then nobody's do anything about it. The Minister of Tourism is his responsibility. He's the gatekeeper. And he's putting all these people in these positions that are allowing these things to happen, and somebody here need to roll on this. We need to start holding people accountable, because I know if it had been me or if it had been anybody else in society that are not with certain last names in this country, we would have been gone a long time ago. And that's the reality, Sterling. Nobody wants to hear the truth. Everybody want to just act like it don't exist. Understand? And then it melts over, and then when it becomes a problem that it spills out and it hits your doorstep, then now we won't talk about it. No, we need to talk about it now. We need to prevent it as opposed to try to fix it after it happened. We have to be proactive and not reactive. Again, time is running out right on the dot. Thank you, Radio Cayman, and for everybody else, and I'm out. Thanks.
Mario Rankin, thanks for sitting with us. And to our listeners, appreciate you sharing the afternoon with us as part of, you go into your weekend, maybe you'll find meaningful conversation with your friends and family. Come back on Monday for more Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. It is our monthly mental health matters. Our discussion is going to be on the CBD oil, and the like. We have practicing psychologists, physicians, psychiatrists, and the like in our studio as part of our guests. A very great, appreciative, heartfelt thanks to Dr. Alexandra Borden for helping us monthly facilitate our monthly mental health matters. And that's Monday's discussion. Please join Mr. Art Monday morning for the record. And between now and then, just keep your radio dial on Radio Cayman. You get the good music till 3, better music till 6, even better news information until 7, and then even better music. As it goes through the day, the hours just get better. Right, Silver Fox? There you go. Listen, thank you all very much. I trust that you'll do your part, individually and collectively. We'll make this country not just more, stable, successful, but also a safer place. And as we inspire and encourage and nurture our children, we expect excellence for them. We demand of ourselves a strong sense of integrity and ethics. And as we move about, we are responsible, we're held accountable, and we're moving forward in a way that improves a lot of all of us. It isn't a difficult thing, and it isn't even impossible, but it's something that we all have to strive for. Until Monday, be blessed.